Everyone wants the edge, a life filled with more passion, love, strength, and purpose. But how do you get it? For 3 decades, the one-man leaders continue to seek out is Anthony Robbins. Tony is a recognized authority on the psychology of leadership, negotiations, organizational turnaround, and peak performance. He has devoted his life to helping millions of people around the world discover and put into action the tools, strategies, and resources that give them the ultimate edge. He has directly impacted the lives of nearly 50 million people from over 80 nations. Tony has met with world leaders like Nelson Mandela, Mikhail Gorbachev, and the late Princess Diana. A personal advisor to presidents like Bill Clinton, top entertainers like Quincy Jones, and Fortune 500 executives, he has worked with people from every walk of life. In sports, he has coached professional athletes like Andre Agassi and Greg Norman, and championship teams like America Cubed and the LA Kings, including team member Wayne Gretzky. Robbins has been honored as one of the top 50 business intellectuals in the world and by American Express as one of the top 6 business leaders to coach their entrepreneurial clients. He's addressed distinguished audiences such as the British Parliament and Harvard Business School, advised top psychologists, and has been a peak performance strategist to the U.S. Army and Marines. His best-selling books are read in 17 languages, and his award-winning educational audio systems, Get the Edge and Personal Power, have sold more than 40 million audios worldwide. Tony's teaching and coaching methods are innovative, action-oriented, and guarantee powerful, lasting results. His live event seminars provide proven tools for success that help people worldwide define, create, and live an extraordinary life. Now, let's join Tony as he kicks off his Unleash the Power Within event and starts on a journey towards sculpting a more passionate, exhilarating, magnificent life.
Good evening. How you all doing out there? I guess we got people from all over the world, so I thank you wherever you are in the world hearing this experience. Let's give everybody a hand for attending and coming here. I appreciate it. Whoa. Please grab a seat in a peak state. I want to start by just thanking you. I didn't take lightly that you gave up 3 days of your life here. Somebody wants anything. You know, you can get your money back. You can get your money back from the seminar. You can get money back from anything. But you can't get your time back. And today, if somebody wants 3 days of your time, they better deliver. And I want you to know, I know what it took for you to be here. Family, friends, kids some of you didn't bring, businesses you had to move around, flights that you got on. And if somebody wants 3 days of my life, they better deliver. And I can promise you, I will not betray your trust. These next 3 days will go to a different level than you have before if you play with me full out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored and I'm blown away, even though this is my 25th year plus doing this. I've been doing this for a quarter of a century now, which is quite amazing for me in the process. Thank you. I'm honored that you take the time, and so I feel a great responsibility, but I also honestly feel a great excitement because I've done this for 25 years. And I've had the privilege now of working with more than 3 million people live in events from more than 80 countries around the world. So at this stage, I gotta tell you something. I could be an idiot and I would know that there are certain patterns that cause people to be fulfilled, to be happy, to fit, to be strong, to feel alive, to be vibrant, to have passion in their life, to do well financially, but even more importantly, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, in their health and their relationships. And there are also patterns that make people frustrated, overwhelmed, depressed, sad, lonely, cause them to be struggling financially, struggling with their body, struggling intimately. And those patterns, they're not because there's something wrong with somebody, it's because of a pattern that we're doing. And I've spent a quarter of a century of my life basically studying the most successful people in the world and the most challenged, and figuring out what's the fastest way to create a change. How can you do it ideally, enjoyably? Because for most of us, think of change as this big, heavy thing. And what I found in all those years is a lot of tools and techniques, and this weekend is an immersion experience in basically developing the one thing that all people have in common who succeed. They're leaders. This is a leadership program. Because I don't care what style you are, I don't care if you're a mom, if you're a great mom, you lead your child, you're not led by your child. Or a great dad. If you're a great business person, you're a great salesperson, you're a great negotiator, you're a great anything, you're a great human being. You're a contributor, you're a leader. And what a leader means is you're not making everybody try to follow you. I didn't come here to be your guru or to pretend I have all the answers. But I know that if I spent 25 years doing whatever you focused on for 25 years, you're gonna know things I don't know. You're gonna be able to teach me things. This has been my entire life's obsession. What makes the difference in people's lives? And that leadership component, as I say, it doesn't always mean somebody follows you. A leader is somebody who lives life on their terms, that you will never settle for less than you can be or share or give or create. So life is never something where you're bored or you're burnt out because there's something alive inside of you, because you're growing. Because ultimately what makes us happy is not achieving anyway. It's great to achieve, but how many of you achieved your ultimate goal? You made it happen, and after achieving it, your brain went, is this all there is? How many been in this place? Say aye. It's kind of a scary moment, isn't it? Because you like gave everything to this and it's like, eh. And maybe for a while it feels good, but it doesn't seem to last because it's not what we get that makes us happy, it's who we become. How we live our life, who we are as a person. People can take away all the things, but who you become, no one can take away. And there's a juice in that, and there's an aliveness in that, and there's a passion in that. And the problem is most of us are trying to be something we're not. In fact, if I was gonna tell you what this whole weekend's really about, it isn't so much about change, about changing yourself. The change happens when you be yourself. And as odd as it sounds and as overused a phrase, it's know thyself, that's the hard part for most people, and then be thyself. Because most of us in our lives, out of our desire for respect or achievement or love or connection or something, we've been trying to be the way we think we'd have to be in order to get that love, respect, appreciation, whatever it is we've been after at some unconscious level. And we've been doing it so long that we think that this is who we are. But I can tell you right now, achieving more in your business, you'll learn tools for that this weekend, no question about it. This program is going to give you tools you can take into your business, transform to go to another level, because it's all about human interaction. It's all about your ability to get peak performance out of yourself, to create change rapidly. But maybe the most valuable thing you'll learn this weekend is not just the science of achievement, and it is a science. Specific things you do, they're laws. You follow them, you get the result. And you get to do it here this weekend. You're going to try these things and see the results even while you're here. But in addition to that, there's an art to master in life. It's the art of fulfillment. Because success without fulfillment is failure. And I can't tell you how many people I work with who are supposedly the best in the world at what they do, and they have more money than they can spend, and they have all these people that love and respect them, and yet they're unhappy inside. And I want to make sure that when you leave here, you have both. You don't have to have one or the other. You don't have to have just fulfillment, no achievement, and you don't have to be in a position where you're achieving and you're always burnt out inside and running on empty fuel. And that's part of what this journey is. And this is, I should tell you also, the beginning of a new journey. How many of you can remember a time in your life when you've been going a certain direction for a long time, and then there was a day or a moment where you've been talking about changing, talking about things, and one day you just did it. Something inside of you snapped, you said that's it, and you changed everything. You changed your body, or your career, or your relationship. How many of you had a moment like that? Say aye. You're about to have many moments like that. That's what this weekend's about. Are you for that? Yes or no, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So, if we're gonna make that happen, if we're not just gonna have a discussion here, and we're really gonna lead our own lives, by the way, to lead other people, who you gotta lead first? Yourself, which means you gotta know who you are. And again, one of the challenges with that is conditioning, I should say. Because most of us have been conditioned to be a certain way. I remember early on when I first met my wife, Sage, we had this great conversation, because I said, you know what? I said, what I love about you is you're so real. I said, so much of people's lives, and I said, I've been guilty of it too, is like, you're trying to be something. I said, I just want to get to who you are. Let's get to that place. Because most people, when they go on a date and they go up to the maitre d' and they say two, they should say two liars, right? Because the guy dresses like he's never going to dress again. And the woman says things she'll never say again, and he does too. He goes, oh, I love shopping and children and dogs, right? But what happens is we say what we think will get us there, and then afterwards we may get what we want and we're not fulfilled. So I said, the real secret is let's be ourselves. She goes, I couldn't agree more. She goes, I can't stand being around a man who's not honest. So I said, well, you'll get honesty from me. It may not always be elegant, but I promise you I'll be straight with you. And I said, I love the same. She said, I know what you're talking about. She goes, even me, she said, growing up, she said, I'm a vegetarian now, but growing up, we ate meat and everything else. We used to have hamburgers. And she said, I remember I used to always order the same hamburger. I used to get this hamburger, and I had lettuce and tomato, but no mustard, no ketchup, no pickles, no relish, nothing else. And she said, I did that till I was about 13 years old. And one time I was 13, I thought, whose hamburger is this? She said, I don't think I've ever had, a hamburger with mustard and ketchup and relish and everything on its special sauce. And she said, I realized it's my mother's hamburger. Because I love my mom so much that I've tried to be like her so that she'd feel connected to me. And she said, I realized I don't need to have her hamburger for her to love me. This is crazy. I need to find out what I want. Most of us don't know what we want because we never tried it. So I said, what'd you do? She said, I ordered a hamburger with lettuce, tomatoes, special sauce, pickles, mustard, onions, everything. And she said, I took a big bite. And I said, what happened? She said, I threw up. She said, but at least I took the bite. And that's what I'm going to invite you to do, if you're willing to here. Take a bite this weekend. I'd like you to try some things you haven't tried because this is a safe environment because no one's going to go home and tell people the crap you did here. Right? You can experiment because if you want to know what's really you, where you're going to be alive is when it's really you. And you may even think you know who you are because you've been living a certain way, but I'll tell you how you'll know. You'll feel euphoric, you'll feel strong, you'll feel unlimited, you'll feel free. And the way to find that is look for spontaneity. When you're being spontaneous, the conditioning's gone and the real you guy shows up. And we've all seen, there we go, sir, I like that. Give that man a hand, I like that. Good, I'm all for that. Because we've all been so conditioned to think that the secret to life is our intellect. And trust me, I honor my intellect, your intellect. Our minds are extraordinary places to be. But the fuel of life is emotion. And we try to cover it up because emotion isn't always pretty and elegant, doesn't fit into the cultural conditioning. But that's how things get moved. How does the world change? The world changes when somebody has a different emotional response than anybody else before them. When everybody says, you got to do this, and they say, no. No, I will not go back. I will go forward. No, I will not settle for this. No, I'm not going to stop myself. No, I'm not going to say something because it's convenient. I'm going to tell the truth. When somebody does that, a leader is formed. And that leadership capacity comes from human emotion. And if there's a place that we could transform our lives, whether we know it or not, if you want to transform it, master your emotions. If you become the master of emotions, you are different than 99% of the rest of the planet who is enslaved by their emotions, using their intellect to cover the fact that inside they don't feel they feel. With 3 million people, I've had the chance to work with presidents of countries and prisoners. Parents, children. I've worked in the South Bronx with people addicted to cocaine, and I dealt with people like the top CEOs in Hollywood, addicted to cocaine. I've dealt with people with multiple personalities, and I dealt with people with no personality, have a much bigger problem, right? I have seen, out of 3 million people around this earth in 80 countries, I've seen just about anything you can see, and there are only so many patterns. And what you're going to find underneath all of this behavior is we have the same needs. There are 6 human needs we're going to review tonight. When you understand what those needs are and which ones you're focusing on, you start to understand why people do the crazy things they do, including you and I. And you begin to understand, hey, there might be a better way to meet my needs, and I don't have to get caught up in this game of stress and frustration and upset, or I could really help this person I care about, because I could see what's really going on. Part of what we want to accomplish here as leaders is we want to become practical psychologists. We want to understand what's really going on so we can help, so we can make a difference, so we can transform. So yes, of course you can do better in your business because the more you understand about what people need and want, the greater you're going to be, the better manager, better leader, the better mom or dad, the better friend. And there's a better you that's available when you understand what's driving you. But most of us are running patterns over and over again. And we want to free that up. To free it up, we got to break the pattern. We got to do things that are different. Think about it. When do people usually learn the most in their life? At what stage of life do most human beings just absorb knowledge and really use it? What stage? Come on. When they're kids, right? Why? Because when you're a kid, you're not so worried about how it looks and whether it's appropriate, whether it fits in. You just do stuff. If it doesn't work and you fall down, you get up. Unless some cotton-picking adult comes by and soothes you and says, oh, don't ever do that again, and teaches you that, you're fragile. Most of our culture is emotionally unfit. We haven't faced a real war where the majority of us had to go fight. We haven't had to worry about real challenges. Our big challenges are things like, hey, will my download come through on my free music? That's now 99 cents. Think about it. We're living in a world where most of us have not had to push against a whole lot. Now, don't get me wrong. I know this room is filled with, including myself, people that have had unbelievably tough times you push through. But as a culture, we got a lot of privileges. It's pretty amazing that we could even be in the rooms we're all in right now, watching by satellite, experiencing here live in this program. When we're here to make our lives better, when 99.99% of us in this room have a life 99.9% better than most of the earth. Most of the planet's got about $2 a day to try to figure out how to live on. Most of the planet is not literate. Most of the planet does not have access to the internet where instantaneously with a keystroke or a click, you can access the answer to almost any question you could imagine. Or you can connect with anyone and share any ideas, feeling, or emotion. Most of the planet doesn't have that privilege, and we're here. We got a lot of audacity. Now, I'm not saying we don't have challenges or problems, because we all do. It's all relative, but man, we're really lucky. So with great privileges comes great responsibility. And my hope is that at the end of this program, not only will you experience more of who you really are and experience this transformation, and I know you'll do it. If you play full out, you'll do it. But also, my hope is that you will be inspired then to take what you've learned and share it in mass and feel the joy of that contribution as well. To do it though and have it last and have it not just be talk, we got to do something different here. So we're going to do something different. I'm not here because I believe in positive thinking. If you think that's what I believe, you don't know much about me. I'm not one of those people that believes you're supposed to go to your garden and chant, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. There's weeds right there. All right, that's what I believe. Here's what I believe. I believe that if you really want to be effective, you got to tell the truth. Right? You can't say there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, and there's weeds right there. You got to tell the truth. In fact, there's 3 mandates of leadership, if you want to jot them down, that may be the foundation of everything that I believe, and I hope that you will see as something that's useful for your own life to remember, because it's so fundamental. By the way, tonight we're going to start with some really basic fundamentals. Common sense. But you know what I've noticed? How many of you noticed that common sense is not too common? Right? It's like, oh yeah, I know that. People tell me all the time, oh yeah, I know that kind of stuff. You know it? Are you doing it? If you're not doing it, you don't know it. You understand it, you have awareness, you can mumble it, but if you're not doing it, you don't know it. And repetition gets it into your body and makes that happen. So the first mandate to leadership is not just to be positive. First mandate to leadership is see it as it is, but not worse than it is. The first secret to be an effective leader in your life, whether it's you want to lead your body from the location it is right now you're unhappy about, you don't have the energy you want, your body's not where it wants, to where you want to be, that's leadership. You want to transform your business, that's leadership. Your income, that's leadership. You want to help your children, that's leadership. You're going to be a leader, step number 1, tell the truth. See as it really is, but don't make it worse than it is so you have an excuse not to try. Because isn't this what most people do? In America now, since 9/11, there has been a psychological shift in a large number of people in this population. And what is that shift? Well, interestingly enough, people seem to not want to get too excited because there's a part of them protecting themselves saying, yeah, but the whole thing could change overnight. How many know people or feel that's really true around you? Raise your hand, I'd be curious to see. Yeah, the majority of you. It's almost like we got this little level on it. Like even the economy's going well, it's going well, but you know, something could happen. Something could always have happened. I mean, it's a horrible experience that 9/11 happened. I mean, 3,000 human beings died. Mothers, brothers, sisters, children, business people, people in the building. But you know what? 4,000 people die a day of cancer and heart disease, and no one's paying attention to that. When I say no one, to be fair, lots of doctors and people are, but it's not the focus of the news every night. And most of you aren't living in total fear every moment. You're not changing your life massively to deal with that, which would probably be something you'd have more control over. 4,000 a day. We're a fickle culture. Whatever we focus on, we feel and think it's real. Instead of realizing if you're a leader, you must control your focus. See it as it is, but don't see it worse than it is so you don't have a reason to try. People all the time say things to me, they'll say, well, I'm skeptical, I'm pessimistic about this stuff. Prove it to me, I'm skeptical. And I say, you're not skeptical, you're not pessimistic, you're gutless. Because what guts does it take to be skeptical and say it's not gonna work? What risk are you taking then? Big deal, it works, right? You're a breakthrough, right? It's like a critic, somebody works their tail off, you read a review, somebody spent 10 years and $100 million to make a film and it's been their entire passion in life, and a reviewer who's never made any film in their entire life, couldn't do it, sits out this giant critique about whether it's good or bad that affects the people who can get there tonight. Anybody can be a critic. That takes no guts and there's no leadership in it. What takes guts is to put yourself on the line. What takes guts is to say, I'm gonna make this work. What takes guts is to say, I'm gonna believe, knowing I could be disappointed or devastated. But you know what? Disappointment's a good emotion if you learn how to use it. If you're emotionally fit, disappointment doesn't devastate you, it drives you. You convert it into drive to make something better, stronger, more. But when you're emotionally weak, then of course it just destroys you. So we protect ourselves and don't get our hopes up. If you want to have the best time of your life, if you want this weekend to change your life, step number one, commit to yourself. You're not going to see it worse than it is. You're not going to let the hypnosis of the culture take you over. Then in fact, maybe you'll be a different force for, hey guys, that's true, and have you looked at this? That's the job of a leader. So step one, see it as it is, but not worse than it is, so you don't have to try. Step two, anybody can see it as it is and maybe be honest, but here's the real secret. Can you come up with a vision? Step two is see it better than it is. That's part of what we're gonna do this weekend. Seeing it as it is, you gotta be honest. You can't